Hello and welcome back to the When You're Podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today we're talking about when you're watching Kung Fu Panda. So, in honor of Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out, I thought I would go through all of the movies so far. So, the first Kung Fu Panda, oh my goodness. What can I say? I mean, I've literally been watching Kung Fu Panda since I was 8 years old when it came out. I mean, 2008, I was just a kid, man. And Kung Fu Panda was just obviously, at the time, it was just like an animation movie, you know, one of the early ones that wasn't associated with Disney or Pixar. It was DreamWorks, and I didn't really know. I mean, I vaguely knew of Jack Black. I didn't know he was in Shark Tales. He played, oh my gosh, I can't believe him. Lenny. He played Lenny, the other shark in that movie, which is also great, but then they came to him with this movie, and it was a panda, and this was kind of like my first like understanding of like what pandas were, or the whole Asian kind of Chinese culture. I feel that this was like my first like kind of like exposure to it. I didn't really know all that much about it, but this movie introduced me to all of that. So I think I'll start with just the feeling or the time that it all started for me. It was just like anything else. It was just another movie, but this time it was around the same time as I don't know if it was before or after. I want to say I have no idea how long ago it was. I could probably look it up, but I'm not going to. But it was the same year Iron Man came out, and I remember those two movies very distinctly when I went to go see them in the theaters. But anyways, this movie has an amazing cast in it. I'm really glad that they got such a really powerful cast and group that I can like kind of focus on individually for their acting performances, because sometimes you're kind of like, all right, like, you know, the cast was all right, you know, it was cool, but in this one I really feel like they all contributed or added something special to the movie. So Jack Black does an amazing job as Poe. It can't be understated or appreciated enough how much life he brings into the character, how much he really puts his soul into it, and it was just really, I don't know, I feel like he and him alone really made that whole movie as special as it needed to be, you know? If it was anybody else, I don't think it would be as good. But anyways, They also have Dustin Hoffman in the movie. He plays Master Shifu. Fantastic. I mean, he's stern enough, but he's also like very sincere and quiet. There were so many moments where Shifu was quiet or irritated and annoyed, and he just conveyed all of that beautifully just through the voice acting alone. You know, you could tell when he's kind of like, you could really tell what he was trying to do with, what they were trying to do with Master Shifu. He's just like this very serious, very stern, can't really be funny or, I mean, he can be kind, but he's just like, you know, he just kind of too serious, or just the classic typical master teacher that we would all expect, you know, somebody who's stern and tough and powerful and not really in any way, shape, or form, well, we come to find out later on, but he's not like a sweet, tender, loving teacher. He's more of like a stern, strict, by the book kind of a guy. And so it's kind of fun seeing him lighten up in later movies, where it's just kind of like Poe, little by little, starts chipping away at him. And I like that a lot about him. So then you have Angelina Jolie. She plays Tigress. She does amazing voice work on this, on the first movie. I remember watching it, and the moment that I keep thinking of, or that I remember her speaking the most, well, not the most, but the one that I really remember, was when her and Tai Lung, or her and the Furious Five, go after Tai Lung to stop him from coming and destroying the valley and taking the Dragon Scroll. So because they meet each other and they have like a little bit of a dialogue, Tai Lung and the moment that I keep replaying in my head of her speaking, or the one that sticks out to me the most, is when they're facing each other and he's like, "So where's the Dragon Warrior?" And she's like, "How do you know you're not looking at her?" And that moment, I don't know why, but I felt like that was some of the. I mean, throughout the whole movie, she does an impressive job, but in that scene, in that confrontation, in that moment, you could tell there was like a big difference, or a big, let me just say that there was a lot going on in that scene. So in that moment, it was kind of like she had to be wary of her surroundings, and she was also like, everybody else was also getting wiped, getting messed up by Tai Lung. So she had to kind of be like, well, how do you know it's not me? And there's kind of like this, like, I don't want to say fear. It's more of like okay, like a grasp of the situation, and like still having a one-on-one dialogue, And I just feel like, I don't know why that moment sticks out to me the most, but when I think about her as Tigress, I think about that scene in particularly, and how well she does. Lucy Liu plays Viper. I think my the one voice acting moment I remember is when she is eating Poe's noodle soup, and she's like, "What are you talking about? This is amazing." I feel like she was having a little bit of fun on that one. Again, they all do great, and then they got Jackie Chan. Oh my gosh, they got Jackie Chan as Monkey, which I feel like they underuse him a lot, but it's not bad, but it's not like, I can't say any like stand out moments, but I just want to say that I'm glad he was a part of it, and I like his voice. He does really great. Seth Rogen's in the movie. He's very distinct. David Cross plays Crane. Yeah, I think they all nail it. They all hit the head perfectly in terms of like their voice representing the character. Like, I think David Cross sounds perfect as Crane. It's kind of funny that Mantis has that Seth Rogen voice. I think it's kind of funny. But anyways, enough of that. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get to the real. So let me start off with Poe, our main protagonist. Dude, I love the opening of this movie. There's something I really enjoyed about it. It was so, I mean, obviously it's animated, but this was more of like a 2D drawing as opposed to 3D. And so I really enjoyed the intro, and it was just kind of a play on his imagination, what he dreams of, what he thinks. And it gives us a lot of insight into his personality and who he is, how creative and imaginative he can be, and what he wants to be, what he wants to do with his life, essentially. And then we see reality. He wakes up, and his daydream is nothing more than an escape from what he is actually doing, which is working in a noodle shop with his father, who is a goose. And it's a humble beginning of, like, he's washing dishes, he's serving, there's like servitude. He's at the bottom, essentially, is what they're trying to do. But there's something beautiful in serving people, and owning a restaurant, and giving other people and serving them food, and especially noodles. But I thought it was really, not that the noodle shop was bad, but when I was a kid, I was just like, oh man, he could be a badass fighting panda, but instead they got him working in this noodle shop. And then as I am now, I realized that, like, the noodle shop is pretty cool, and it's a great hangout spot, and it's a cool thing to, like, know how to cook or be in the kitchen and to make the noodles, and eventually helps him make friends or warm up to the Furious Five a little bit. So after that, we just kind of see that, like, what he's going for, what he wants, and his love and devotion for Kung Fu, or his passion for it, his drive is, I want to be that. And instead, he lies to his father and is just like, "Yeah, I dream about noodles." And I think that's so funny. I think I do that line all the time. It's like, "So you were really dreaming about noodles?" And I think about that all the time. I just find that line so funny. I was having the noodle dream. And I don't want to go too much into the plot. I mean, I don't just want to just like reiterate what happened, but essentially, he gets in. He becomes appointed or chosen to be the next dragon warrior through explosive means and a great ball of fire. And he becomes the new dragon warrior. He is the dragon warrior. He's chosen. So it's kind of like this weird balance or this weird moment of all of the Furious Five are like right there, about to be chosen. All of them have been practicing and dedicating themselves to Kung Fu. And here comes this new guy with no experience, no training, no real ability to fight. And he has to become this dragon warrior. So it's kind of the new blood aspect is like, it hurts because imagine you work so hard for something and then it gets given to some new guy who doesn't even know where to start, who's not even in fighting shape, who can't beat you in a fight, but they're supposed to be the next big thing. And now you're supposed to be helping them, be a part of it with them. It just kind of feels like a big backstab. But looking at it now, it's kind of nice and refreshing, and it makes you work on your leadership skills or on your ability to teach, right? It's and in acceptance. Can you accept it and, have them be part of your life? And for a lot of them, they were like, they didn't want him to be a part of their life. They just wanted him gone. They didn't want him to have any kind of touch on Kung Fu because he would just taint it or make it bad, or he'll never be good enough for it. But what we know now and what he learns later on is that like every day is just about showing up and being yourself and doing what needs to be done, So it's a want, and then there's the starting point. And the starting point is so difficult. There were so many moments where he could have given up, so many moments where he could have just quit. And should he have? I mean, a lot of people would have quit for a lot of people have quit for a lot less. But his persistence or his dedication or his want to continue what he does is what we can all learn from, or we can figure out. Now there's the Furious Five. So Tigress, she wants to be the Dragon Warrior, or she's been training. This is what she's been doing, and this is what she keeps voicing all throughout the movie. It's like, this is what you trained us for. This is what we're supposed to do. You can't just give it to this nobody, this loser, quite frankly, who can't can't do what we do. It's not possible. But she is very proud and strong and quiet and private. And because of all of those things mixed together, she's not used to love or fun or tenderness. She's used to strength and training, and that's how she gets by. That's how she was trained by Shifu, and we come to learn later on why. Monkey, he's kind of just like, it's not that he doesn't like Po, it's just that like it's awkward. They don't really care about him. Him and Crane. Mantis is a little bit more chummy, I guess. I mean, he tries to help him out, but it's more of like a... I don't want to say it's like he's doing it just to do it, but it's more so like doing it because what I'm talking about is he like gives him acupuncture, tries to help him out a little bit, and it's more so just to like get him to relax or to focus or to get stronger. But overall, it kind of just doesn't translate into like a real friendship just yet. or like right away. Viper's pretty sweet. She's pretty nice, but she's more so like she's along with everybody else. They all try to get him out of there, essentially, is what's going on. But they all fail. And it's because they weren't accepting. And eventually he'll crack through them. And the soup, the noodle stuff really breaks down that wall. It really helps them all learn or figure out, like, oh, okay, he does have something to offer. He is somebody. Not that you have to cook food to mean something to people, but it's more so like this is something that he's really good at and that they can like him about, or they can always turn to him and be like, he makes amazing noodles, or all this other stuff, things that they can look to him and see greatness in, I guess, because they don't appreciate him in Kung Fu. They don't all like him. So essentially, they all run away from the Jade Palace and they go after Tai Lung, who's the bad guy of the movie, and they get their butts whooped. I mean, they lose to him and they barely make it out alive. And through it all, it just kind of shows that their pride backfires or really affects them because they don't. What's the right word? Rather than trust in Po or trust the process or trust Master Shifu or have any kind of like, I don't want to say loyalty. They are loyal, but it's more so like they disobey because they think they're doing the right thing, but they're actually disobeying because they don't believe or they think it's wrong what Master Shifu is doing or the way that they're going about it. Instead of helping to train Po or being right there alongside Master Shifu and him, it's more so about like proving that they're more worthy than him, more than the new student or whatnot, more than Master Uguay's predictions or choices, that they can rise above it. But it's not true. They do fail, and it's not that they're not strong. It's just that they have to be open to learning, or they have to accept, their inability to accept almost gets them killed. But anyways, after that, I'm going to talk about Master Oogway for a little bit. Master Oogway in this movie, he's brief, early on, and they kind of give him like this wise old turtle, the wise old turtle. He's sweet and kind, but he's powerful and strong and capable, and the greatest amongst all of them. But I really enjoy the relationship between him and Master Shifu because Master Shifu is a leader. He is a master himself, but he's not better than Master Oogway. Well, I guess better is the wrong word for it, but it's more so like he's not as compassionate or not as carefree or loving as him. He's a lot more fast-paced and to the point and quick, He needs things done in a certain way. And there's this beautiful conversation between the two of them about control and about believing that I really enjoyed. And they talk about it with Peaches. And it was about a peach tree and about how believing alone isn't enough. It's about action. It's about controlling your own destiny, I think, is what Master Shifu is trying to argue against Master Oogway. Master Oogway is like, well, if you take care of it, you grow, you nurture it, you treat it right, you keep it healthy and strong and do everything that you believe is right, then of course it's going to be beautiful, It's going to be strong enough to do anything that you want it to do. And Master Shifu's just kind of like, well, I can grow it, but believing in it alone isn't all that matters. I can control where I can grow it. I can control how much water I give it. I can control when the peaches fall. He can control all kinds of stuff. All he's trying to direct is that, like, he's scared when he's not in control, or he feels like if he's not in control, he's kind of leaving everything up in the air, you know? It's not true. It's actually believing in something, and even if it fails, you can still, I think it all comes around to his son, or what it all comes around to Tai Lung and his feelings, because it's like he believed in him and he failed. Now it's more so like, well, discipline and control are like his main ways of like, you know, moving people or pushing people in the direction that he wants, or making them good, essentially. Not being overly fond of or loving or caring of them. It's more so about like putting them in there in the right direction through hard work and training. But anyways, there's another moment between Master Oogway and Po that I really enjoy, and they have there's so many good Master Oogway quotes, or there's like a great moment between the two of them. Anyways, they have this conversation about how Po is feeling and how he's upset, and it's in that dialogue that I thought it was amazing when I was a kid, and I still find it amazing today. The two of them are able to bond, however shortly. They don't have a whole, that's like their only scene really together outside from Master Oogway picking him, which is kind of odd, but he doesn't really need to be all that important to Po's life, and he believes in his choices. He knows he chose right, and Po is kind of, he's very upset because he's shunned out and he doesn't feel wanted. But in his dialogue, but in his conversation with Master Oogway, he learns the persistence, the everyday of showing up. That's where he kind of just like learns that. It's a gift to be there, you know? Thinking about what he used to be and what he could be if he just focuses on that day, focuses on himself and continuing to be his best self. And I like that moment. And then for Master Oogway, I wonder about, because in the later movies he does come back briefly, but I just kind of think about like, if he didn't come back, or at the moment when I was a kid, when I first watched it, I was just like thinking about it now. It's just more so, what is he left behind? He left Master Shifu with some wise words, but he's still confused and unsure of himself. And the Dragon Warrior is yet to become the Dragon Warrior. And the Furious Five aren't all that they're supposed to be. So now what? And there's like the big threat coming, which is Tai Lung. So there's so much that he leaves behind, but he knows that him leaving is kind of it's a part of life, and it's also what helps them all grow. It's what gives Shifu the push to follow his master's words and to believe in Po and to train him the right way, or in a new way. And that's where it becomes really starts to go in the direction that Po wants. And then finally, to end this, I want to talk about Tai Lung and the relationship he has with Shifu. There's so many people who are on Tai Lung's side, or I think they just sympathize with him, or they understand where he's coming from, the feeling of being raised or being driven to a purpose and then not getting it, not being that, you know, feeling that you were manipulated to, or it was all that you were believed in yourself, and there was no kind of interjection or other words, right? You were destined for greatness. You're going to be the Dragon Warrior. You're my prodigy. You're destined for Kung Fu, and you're all of this and that, but unable to see the darkness that Master Oogway saw. And then Obviously, he attacks the village, goes on a rampage, tries to take the dragon scroll. Master Shifu can't face him. Master Oogway incapacitates Tai Lung and locks him away in prison, which he escapes. Oh my gosh, that prison escape scene was so badass. I remember watching it as a kid. I was like, that was cool. But now rewatching it again, it's so much cooler. Just the way that he gets out and the whole process. I just think the choreography, the animation in these movies are done so beautifully. It's so masterful and fluid, and I really enjoy it. So I'm not gonna say I don't understand where Tai Lung is coming from. I definitely understand that he feels cheated out of what is his, or he feels like he was kind of that rejection, and then no kind of, well, now what? You kind of get this. It's a big slap in the face of like, I've been training for this. This is what I am. This is what do you mean no? What do you mean I'm not? What do you mean darkness? What is all this? And I understand that. I don't understand attacking the village and messing them up. But I mean, that's stuff that could be forgiven ultimately. But it just, the moment between Shifu and Tai Lung when they meet up again, and Shifu apologizes, and you see on Tai Lung's face, the kind of look of like, that look of like, that's what he wanted to hear, or that's like a piece of closure that he needed. And yet he still tries to kill Shifu, and then him and Po have at it. What am I trying to get at here? I think that Tai Lung has a lot of good qualities, and I don't know if he comes back in the fourth one, but I do think that he's somebody who deserved a second chance. He definitely could get a second chance. And I kind of want that reunion with Shifu and Tai Lung. I kind of want them to work together on something, or I want them to like have a conversation or train together again, or I kind of just want them to have a moment where they're not trying to kill each other, or maybe just like a quick spar, something. I just feel like that's something that was missing. But overall, Kung Fu Panda, man, that movie still holds up today. It's a definite, that is an S rank movie. The real talk. That movie goes, it's so beautiful, and I think for a long time, I think that's the reason why it's still a huge franchise, That, and I guess maybe they're running out, they've been running out of ideas. But anyways, that movie is just so powerful, and it's created over a decade worth of movies, and I'm pretty excited for Kung Fu Panda 4. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.